at the same time as giving people the ability to grow a couple of plants in their yard or in a secure room. Obviously, limitations. Nobody needs to have 10 tons of cannabis, so there's no justification for growing 10 tons of cannabis. It's where people have got to get into that. There's a lot of people in my community that go, "Oh, I should be allowed to grow whatever the fuck I want," and I go, since when do you get to do that with anything in society? We've got to that point where we understand there's a balance that needs to be maintained. The rights of the individuals to the rights of the many. But the rights of the individuals are being swallowed, they're being destroyed, they're being left behind. Look at this, we've just been given a new Prime Minister. Someone that we would never ever have elected has just been made the Prime Minister. If they'd had that creature at the head of their party at the last election, do you think they would have been elected? No. So they have no right to be in power, do they? That's the reality of it. They have no right to maintain power because that parasitical, homicidal maniac that they've now got as their leader is not someone that we would have given them fucking opportunity to lead with, would we? No. Scary concept, isn't it? We don't get a choice. Okay, so someone's coming up.
What's going on?
How's it going? Oh, I'm just getting a black screen at the moment, man. What's going on? Hello?
I heard that
Not coming through?
you're happy about. I heard that you're happy about the new Prime Minister.
Oh, I love him. I love him. Scott Morrison, he's just the kind of parasite we need sucking the blood from, Australians. Hi, Jenny, how are you?
What's up?
Mate, are you covering up your camera there?
No, my light's off.
Oh, okay.
Hey, yeah, but I was just watching your live about how you were happy that Scott Morrison got in.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing. I think I've been around, like, I'm not a young man. I've been around for over half a century. Okay, I've been smoking cannabis for 37 years, so I consider myself somewhat of an authority, as do others, on the cannabis thing. But when it comes to politics, I've been physically watching politics go down. When I first got interested was when the Hawke and Keating, the machinations that started happening in front of us. Because for me, it was the first time in my experience I'd seen there be a challenge, a leadership challenge that wasn't around an election. You know what I mean? There was this bitching and moaning, like Keating was going, "Fucking look, you were supposed to hand over the reins to me after the election. There was a promise in place." And like most of Australia, I'm sitting there going, "What? What? Hang on, what? No, what do you mean there was a promise that he would win the election and then he would step down and you would become Prime Minister?" And I think that was the first time, it was for me, but I think it was the first time for a lot of other Australians that realised that we had no control over who was going to be the Prime Minister, despite what happened at an election. It was like,
well, guess what will happen? We'll have another new Prime Minister next year too, won't we?
Well, that's it. I mean, these days it's handy. I created a meme and flicked it out earlier on onto one of my pages, and it's become that reminder. Oh, change of Prime Minister. Oops, time to do the batteries and the smoke alarm again.
Well, how many Prime Ministers has there been over the past 6 years?
Well, more than there's been elections. That's for fucking sure. It's like this game that they play, because politics, it's not about representing the people. It's about this game that they play amongst themselves. This power game in this thing that is political machinations. Like, we need to get rid of political parties altogether. I did a broadcast earlier on the Ancient J page on what $5 million. I sat down the other day and I did some maths, and $5 million would give us more than enough money to put 13 candidates in every single electorate around the country for both the House of Representatives and every single Senate seat. So over the two elections, we could actually put up enough people to not only get an independent people's representative elected in every electorate, but also have another 12 people there to absorb all the preference votes, so that Liberal and Labor got none of the preferences, because that's the only reason they're winning seats, is they win them through the preferences. If we have a candidate up with 12 other candidates with them, and all 13 of them, this is the really important thing, all 13 of them go after the election to that electorate's division office, and they clean house. So those 12 people that are supporting the new minister, the new person, the new representative, would be people from law, from accountancy, from education, people that would actually have life experience to actually start making Australia better for Australians.
So why isn't Malcolm Turnbull our Prime Minister no more? What happened?
Oh, he lost the confidence of his party. Look, we've been destroying Malcolm for a few months. It was a little bit before their time schedule, but he had to go. He was always going to go before the election. He was never, ever going to be a winnable in the election sort of like realm. What's going to interesting thing now is that the current government, they only had like control in the House of Representatives by one vote. And that was a vote that was made to the Turnbull government, right, by the independents. Now, what's happened now, because you've changed over the leadership of the Liberal Party, the agreements that those independents made, you know, like your Bob Catters and so forth, out there that are actually sitting in the House of Representatives that are neither Liberal or Labor, but whose votes, when they get cast in one direction or another, because there has been the emergence of independence across Senate and House of Representatives, because people are tired of Liberal and Labor. But we need to do it on this whole country. We need to do that, all of them, clean house completely. And the moment we get them out, then we actually examine both organisations under the VLAD laws that they put in Queensland for the motorcycle gangs. We have both Liberal and Labor declared criminal organisations, which allows then for all of their assets to be seized, and allows then for all of their leaders to be jailed. Wouldn't that be lovely? And all their assets to be seized, you know? And then we can really start doing this nice little forensic investigation into where the money that the taxpayers have been paying, you know? Like this little thing, have you familiar with the new benefit card for the unemployed, where they're going to give them a little plastic card rather than giving them a dole, and they can only use it in certain places? Are you familiar with that? Okay, now are you familiar that it's costing $10,000 per card for it to be managed by a company that's actually owned by the Liberal National Party?
Oh, right.
$10,000 per card is the management fee, right? Now, the entire benefit for the 12 months to an individual is not much over 10 grand, if over. Okay.
They should give it to the poor people. They're all about the rich people.
But it's not even about whether it's the rich people or the poor people. What we're talking about there is the fact that they've just doubled the cost of the unemployment benefit, right, without giving a single penny to the unemployed person. They whinge and they bitch and they moan about there not being enough money to raise the dole to cover the cost of living, but they're more than happy to double its entire cost to put 10 grand into the pocket of one of their mates. That's the reality of this thing that's happening right now. They resist increasing the dole even to the basic minimum, but they're happy to double it as long as that doubling means half of it's going into a mate's pocket. That is corruption at its finest. These are the things that the government and the members of government are doing around us that we can see, because they know, in their opinion, we can't do anything about it because the status quo is Liberal and Labor run the show, which is why we need a coordinated effort across this country to wipe them out like the pestilence they are. 13 representatives in every electorate, and they're gone overnight. You'll never see Liberal and Labor again in this country. We can destroy them and seize back every single penny that they've taken from us.
And then who will become leader then if they're both gone?
Well, the actual, you know, the people that get elected, the actual representatives. Because then you'd have representatives of the people from every electorate. And then those people, right, would vote amongst themselves for a leader.
Oh, right. So
Of making
that's
a
more a
common
president, isn't it?
platform of actually bringing public utilities back into the Australian ownership, bringing like a central bank for the Australian people, bringing down the cost of utilities, the kind of things that are actually important to Australians. You know, we'd maybe look at ending foreign aid and spending the money in education, right? Because then what we could do is we could educate Australians, our young people, then we could pay for them to travel to these countries that are in great need, you know, that we're actually giving all this money to. But instead of doing that, we could actually send them intelligent Australians to pitch in. We could send the Australians with the tools and the equipment to build schools and hospitals and things like that, so that we can actually get something that benefits not only the world, but Australia as well, because all of a sudden then we're getting generations of our young people that are going out there into the world, sharing the experiences and the knowledge that they bring from here, but bringing back here after their travels the things they've learnt there. You know, that is foreign aid, not handing over trillions of dollars to some organisation that's just going to waste it and suck it up in bureaucracy. You know, so I'm not talking about not helping the world anymore. I'm just talking about rendering foreign aid in a way that is actually aid to those places in need.
And you're right. Look, the way that they've got the system is that we've got very little hope, and it is. And the reason that is because we're so disconnected. We're running around in circles. We're focused on this or we're focused on that. You know, they're very, very good at breaking down cohesive people's grassroots momentum. They tend on. It ends up being centralized, or they focus the centralization onto the racist aspects or the extremist aspects, you know what I mean? Rather than just this centralistic approach going, we really, really need to reevaluate the things that are going. Because here I am being on the planet for over 50 years. Here you are being on the planet for however long you've been on the planet. And I don't know about you, but I can honestly say that the quality of life for most people is not better today than it was 30 years ago. As a matter of fact, for our most vulnerable, quality of life is a lot worse. That's the reality. Look at the price of bread, loaf of bread, milk. These are the basics, you know. I'm not even a milk drinker. But and it's not like the money is going to the farmer, the dairy farmer. It's getting like 7 cents a litre, 17 cents a litre. Out of that he gets about 7, I think, because of the cost factors. But that's about what Coles and Woolies that pay him for his milk. But it still heats your shelf at $3 a litre, doesn't it? Or $2 a litre, I don't know, don't drink milk. We've gone away from what society is supposed to be about. You know, everything now has to have a price tag so that someone can make money from it. And if you don't have money, you can't participate. That's not society. That's not a world. That's not a community. That's really fucked up. But we can change it. It doesn't have to be that way. You know? We can actually have control of our country. And it doesn't take much. It just takes cohesion. It just takes coordination and communication. Right? Let's get away from the extremists' point of views and just come down to the basics of what every Australian can agree on. Basic things that we should all be going, oh yeah, no, yeah, I can see that. Like health. Do you think Australian health system should be so expensive? Do you think the waiting list should be so long? Do you think that perhaps all of the money allocated to health should be going into the public health system and not being split between private and public? Do you think that perhaps if we put all of the money that should be going into health into doctors and not bureaucracies of billing and new ways of profit making and stuff like that, if we actually put the money into her service delivery, that it might be better? I do. Education. Do you think if we put all of the education funding into creating a top-of-the-line education system, rather than splitting it, we'd have a better education system. I do. You know why? Because all the money would be going into the education system. An education system that anyone is welcome to go to. It's where we need to be putting the money, so that everyone gets the opportunity for a good education. Okay? Little basic things. Public transport. You know? Overpriced? Peak hour. It's like cattle cars. Maximising profits. Not putting on an extra 10 rail cars to move people comfortably from point A to point B. The focus is profit. Take that away. Public transport. That's for the public. Hey, Amanda, how you doing? Electricity, water, you know, the basic things. Back in public hands, you know, and any profits that are made from these things to go into general revenue to offset the costs of running a country. So it's not reliant on the individual taxpayers. And overseas companies that want to come into Australia, they need to pay tax. And if they don't want to pay tax, then they basically get the fuck out. Because if you're not putting into this country, then you shouldn't be given the opportunity to take anything out. You know? As you sow, so shall you reap. If you want to take something from this country, then be prepared to put something into it. Like a number of times. You don't want someone like me as a PM. Alright? I'm good at the mouth. It's great. And I've got a few good ideas, but that's not what you want as a PM. You want a PM as someone that is going to be 100% focused while he's PM on keeping his fucking eye on what the ministers are doing. Right? If they're keeping everything on track and the way it should be going. That's where the Prime Minister's focus should be all the time. Right? And it shouldn't be something that people will do forever. It should be one of those things. I'm going to commit to doing this and make Australia a better place. I have these life experiences, these life skills. I'm going to come in 4 years or whatever, and I'm going to commit to making this great. That's what you want people to come into politics with the intention of doing, right? So that entire period, they're focused on making these departments and these ministries work and operate and refine and provide service. And then, if you've done a good job, be like a sliding scale bonus thing. You know what I mean? It's like going, let's see what you've accomplished in your tenancy. And they roll off the things that you've focused and they go, fuck me, this guy's done heaps. You know, sliding scale, we'll give him top bonus. And that might be a, $4 million package, which is a tiny, tiny thing compared to what we're paying them these days in superannuations and stuff like that, right? But you get someone that comes in and just basically sits on their ass and does nothing. And what's your list of accomplishments? And you go, oh, yeah. I won an election. Yeah, well, thank you very much, mate. You've been paid an honest wage while you've been there in that position. And the sliding scale says you're getting diddly squat. You'll get fair remuneration, like anyone does for doing an ordinary job, but you're not going to get paid the ridiculous amounts of money that we're paying people that did nothing during the entire time that they were in Parliament or in the Senate. There's nothing wrong with rewarding people for doing a good job, but we should not be perpetually rewarding people that did a crap job and only ever achieved things that were to the negative of the people that they represented. Quality of life has gone down for all Australians, so why the fuck have parliamentary wages and pensions been going up? Have you asked yourself that? It's a really basic question. If everything's going to the shitter, why are they getting better off? Why are we allowing them to? Why do they think that they deserve to be paid more for doing less for us? Yeah, so we can, as I said, we can take Australia back, $5 million, gives us every electorate, Senate and House of Representatives. So it's not even got to be all in one hit, you know what I mean? Because the elections are years apart. But we can, with a coordinated effort across this country, you know, it just takes a group of people in every electorate to find the group of people, you know, and to find the people that are willing to support them, that want to see the change. Like seriously, they'll try and scare you and go, oh, if you put them in there, it'll be a bloody hodgepodge, nothing will be accomplished. Understand something. The only thing that Liberal and Labor have accomplished for decades is the destruction of Australia. If we go through, you know, a 4-year stretch of nothing being accomplished, that's 4 years. That's better off than any of the preceding ones, because there won't have been destruction accomplished, since that seems to have been the goal of Liberal and Labor. Asset stripping this country and the people within it. So yes, initially it'll be a mess, but you know what? Reason will prevail. Why? Because those people will really be answerable to the people that put them there. Because it's about engagement, it's about people getting involved in choosing their representatives and then going, right mate, let's get you up there with a purpose and let's support you in achieving the goals that we're sending you there to target. It's about getting involved on every level. Apathy, the time is over. We, the people, we, the individuals, must come together. It's the only way things will change. We must coordinate, we must communicate. This tool, this ability to be able to reach out to the people around us and go, hey, yeah, I'm a human being. I look at the world just like you, and these are the problems that I see. And instead of just going, these are the problems I see, I go, well, look, here are some solutions that we could try. Because that's more important, to offer solutions. Not the solutions might not be perfect, they might not be acceptable to the general mass. Other people might have better ones. But once you start putting solutions forward, then only way will you find the better ones. You know? Participate. Engage, become part of the solution rather than just someone pointing out the problem. Because if we do that, synergy, we become strong, so very, very strong, we can move mountains. We can do this. We can have our country back. We can have a future for our children's 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 children. But we need to secure that future today. Otherwise, there won't even be one for our children's children. Because that's how close we are to losing everything. Just look at the way they do this, swapping prime ministers the way they want, because it has nothing to do with the Australian people. Like, fuck, this is the thing. Like, it has nothing to do with the Australian people. What has it got to do with us? It's got everything to do with us. Or it should have. Anyway, that's my rattle. I don't want to dominate the airwaves. Well, I do. I just do it in lots of different places so that, you know, get a lot of coverage. Camera whore, they call me. Very apt. So, it's been a pleasure. It's been a privilege. It's been entertaining. I had fun. I hope you did. Most people call me ancient. Some people call me Jay. You can call me either. Just don't call me late for dinner, because the munchies, that's real. I'm a stoner. The rest is self-explanatory. I'll catch you guys next time. Have a great night. And thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you coming in. I love the comments. Please hit like, share, comment. I don't think you really can. I think you can't really share them from inside of here. It's a closed group. So, you know, like it. Go to my page, Ancient J. You know, easy to find. Or just like if you go, Ancient J. I'm everywhere. Green Cross of Australia. Cannabis Talk with Ancient J. Green Cross of the world. Green Cross of the UK. I'm very green. Smoke Nation worldwide. Community for Cannabis Evolution. Cannabis Oil Advice Down Under. Green Cross, the Community for Cannabis Evolution. That's groups, that's pages. I'm everywhere. Feel free to reach out and find me. Connect. Get engaged. Become part of the solution, like I said. Don't just point at the problems. Everyone does that. Be a human doing, not a human being.